Well, when I said late, I did not have any idea I was going to be this late. This is not even morning. Some of you probably won't get this till morning, but I certainly hope you understand that what I decided to do is rather than get behind a day, I will share with you my yesterday adventure tonight, which would have been in the morning, and then tomorrow morning, Lord willing, I can get back on schedule. So I decided that I would have this evening my daily glass of wine with you. So cheers. And if you're watching this in the morning, this is now 8 o'clock at night, my time. So hello. So cheers, and off we go. So I was in yesterday, as you recall, Normal. Now, once I got out of the hotel, though, I found out nothing was quite normal at all. The first thing I did was I had my breakfast, and then I did my little in-room breakfast, and then I went to my little list, and my list said that I was going to the Normal movie theater. It's an old movie theater that is still in business, and they said it was very special. So I'm going to see that. So I drove over there, and the street was crowded. There was no way of getting a parking lot. There was like a fair in the middle of town. I had no idea what was going on. So I decided, well, I'm no sissy. I'm going to go find a parking space, and I'll walk a little bit. Well, I went one block. I went around blocks. I went through parking lots. I got stuck in corners where I couldn't get out for a while. And I just kept driving, and there was no way I was going to find a space, So I went down another block, and eventually I said, well, I saw the theater as I drove by, but I didn't get to take a picture. So I think I'm going to cheat and find a picture of it online, and I will post that in my album, and everyone will think I did it myself. So then I went down the street, and I had a first where did I already tell you that? Went to a car wash, and the car wash was being done by the Normal Impact Dance Troupe. Now, I had never gone to one of those car washes. Usually I go to the machine and put the money in, and but I said, well, I can support these people. I mean, that's what it's about, isn't it? About sharing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to the car wash. And I went in there, and it was fun to talk to the girls, and oh my God, it was so good to have my car clean. Because when I left Connecticut, I'd planned to wash it first, but I never got around to it. And it had this tar and dead bugs on the front. It was really filthy. I didn't think those girls were going to get it off. So I said, well, I just want you to know, I understand that, you may not get that off. Hey, Alicia, everybody that's checked in, thank you so much for checking, and thank you for watching. So anyway, they got that stuff off that car. I was like, maybe I could have done that myself, but I didn't care. I did it for them. Very interesting thing happened though. But when I got back into the car, there were little bees. There were bees flying around the car. And I was like, must be a bee's nest around here. Well, for what it's worth, all during the course of the day, when I'd park my car, there'd be bees around it. I am really wondering what in heaven's name those girls washed my car with that drew the bees. I don't know. I had a little, when I was having my happy first, I went into the Ace Hardware while they washed the car. And it's really funny. They washed the car in like 5 minutes. You think how long we put stuff off, and they washed the car and did it well in 5 minutes. Just saying. So anyway, when I was in there, I was just kind of poking around trying to waste 5 minutes. And I saw a pumpkin carving set. Well, if there was one thing Sammy loved, it was carving pumpkins. Every year she would carve pumpkins. I'll probably be posting a picture of the one from last year. But one of my favorite stories is when we lived in Texas. We had a little balcony. We had a second floor apartment with a balcony. And she was carving this pumpkin with a jack-o'-lantern with a big smile on it, and she was so excited, and she showed it to me. She said, "Oh, look, Nana." She was about 14 then, and she said, "Look, Nana," and she held up this big old grin on the jack-o'-lantern, and then she turned it around, and she had carved the letters SMIE. She was missing an L. It was supposed to be smile. And we laughed about that every year. That's one of my favorite Sammy experiences. So it was a little tug on my heartstrings. And so I went back out. My car was ready, and I was ready to go off to my day. So I was looking for my next place I was going to visit. And I mean, everywhere I went, there were people and cars and people. And I'm like, what is going on? And one of the guys said to me, "Oh, they're having a game. They're having 2 games in town this week." Well, Normal is that's where one of the big universities is, in Indiana University, and everybody was there for the games. I guess parents came in from out of town, and but everywhere I drove, and there were what do you call it? Tailgating. Kind of made me want to go over and peruse their goodies and see what they had. I thought I might pull over and take some pictures of them, but they probably would have thought that this strange lady taking pictures of their tailgate party would be rather odd. And then I drove down the road, and I had another Sammy moment. There was, I don't know, some kind of building, and it said SAMI on the awning. And that's the way I spelled Sammy's name when she was a baby. When she was about 9 or 10, she decided she wanted it SAMMIE. But to see the SAMI was kind of like, oh, you know. And so I pulled off the road I was on to flip around and go and get a picture of it. So I went and I took the picture. I got back to my car. When I got back to my car, I couldn't get turned in the direction I wanted because there was so much traffic. So I was directed to go down the street and around the block and come back up. I wound up exactly where I'd been. Oh, but I want to go back up. Okay. When I got back to my car, I looked, and my GPS said Ogden and Samantha Street and Samantha Avenue. And I was like, holy crap. And so I, you know, and that's when I went on my drive around the block, wound up exactly where I was. An odd thing, there was no Samantha Street. There probably was, and I just missed it. But to me, as I drive, I metaphysically interpret what's happening spiritually for me. And it was like I couldn't get to see that because I couldn't cross over. I had to take my own journey. So that was my little bit of metaphysics for that moment. So then I gotta check out my little notes here because I want to make this quick. You know, it's horrible. I can't read my own handwriting. You know, when I sign books, I tell people, you want me to tell you what it says because you're probably not going to be able to read it. Okay. Oh, so I am starting to consider myself to be the huntress. Because I'm going to tell you something. Some of the stuff I have found, my GPS couldn't find, some people on the street couldn't find, but with a little help from my guides, as wherever they are, some people do know where things are. I have been able to find some very difficult things. You know, I always hoped I'd run into Noel and Laura again, but they're probably halfway to California already, and I'm still here dawdling around. I'm going to find that damn 2-cell jail. I'm going to do that. So, but that's the way I am. So I found this place called the Stone School, and it's a little tiny bitty school near the big university. And it's just talks about how the schools got started out there and what the people that started the school had done. There's pictures on my page, so go find them. So from there, I went to a little gas station, that was refurbished. You can see that online. It's really cute. And the woman in the, oh, and outside, which you can see in my pictures, is this adorable, I guess it's a Studebaker because that's what guys said it was, a hot little purple car with a bitty teardrop camper attached to it. And so I went into the store and I met the guy, told him how wonderful his car was. He said he knows. And I talked to the lady and thanked her for doing the store. And she said, you know, when I bought this store, it was dilapidated. It was just about, you know, tear it down, burn it condition. She said, but I wanted to do it and I wanted to restore it. And I was able to do that with some grants from the government that we pray to God we will not let go away in 2 years, as some people are threatening. But she said, I had the 2 grants and I worked 2 jobs to get this place together. And then the town bought it from her with the promise they would always keep it as a historic site for Route 66. So that was very heartwarming. And again, please, please support Route 66. It's not just a road. It's a memory of a wonderful life and wonderful lifestyle. So after that, I went to the Beer Nuts factory. Now, the Beer Nuts factory, unfortunately, was not open on Saturday. Well, I don't know how they make beer nuts, but their company store was closed. And I thought, oh, well, but then again, let's be serious here. If the Beer Nuts factory makes beer nuts that they send all over the country, and I brought anybody back beer nuts, how the heck are they different from the beer nuts that you would get in the grocery store? Oh, hey, guess what? I brought you some beer nuts from the Beer Nut factory. Oh, thanks. Yeah, right. I have some in my cupboard that I got at the grocery store last week, you know? So, and it's another money I did not have to spend. So, then I decide to go, I'm going to find Funk's Grove. And that's funny because I used to have a teacher named Mr. Funk, or he was a principal or something at the school I went to. We had a Mr. Funk and a Mr. Fink. Is that hilarious? So I decided I want to go see Funk's Grove. They also had this, they said that in season or sometimes otherwise you can get this SIRIP they make. They tap trees, so I'm assuming that's maple syrup. I didn't think it made it out of, you know, the Northeast, but they were doing it here. And I didn't find it, but I'm looking for this place, and I'm looking and looking, and I go down this street and that street, and I'm like, this cannot be right. So I finally give up, and I turn around, and I flip the car around, and I'm driving back, and guess what? That dang little purple Studebaker and the teardrop goes that way, and I'm like, I'm following you, and I had to go and find a place to turn around and try to find him again and track him, and I got to the same place, and it was so cute. There's a chapel, and they have a chapel in the woods. They have beautiful, beautiful signs that were on some of the trees. There was a wedding going on, so the people were getting ready for the wedding. I kind of hoped I could find the bride and do a blessing for her before the wedding, but I couldn't find her, so much for that. But it was gorgeous. And then I left there and I went to a place called the Dixie Travel Plaza. And it's been in operation since the days that 66 was flying, and it's very much a truck stop. And so I went in and I took some pictures and had a little lunch, but they didn't have anything real inspiring for a vegetarian. I looked at their buffet. No, thank you. And so I had these little 2 sides of one macaroni and cheese and one coleslaw. You know, you got to try to keep your nutrition up. It's so easy on the road to get off of the nutrition thing. But so anyway, let me just, I have to get back to my list here for a second. Oh, and of course, I had to find the next Bunyan Giant. Well, I found that in the cutest little town called Atlanta. Now, the cool thing about Atlanta is all these tourist attractions are in the same spot. So they had the Palm Grill. I went in there and I'd already had my lunch at the Dixie Travel Plaza. So I had a piece of pie. It was blackberry pie. It was very nice. I only ate half of it because how much can you eat? Again, you're on the road all day sitting on your butt. Not a good idea to get too crazy. So then across the street was a little oddity store. That's all I could call it. He's welcoming visitors and everything. And you go inside and it's like, it's got all this clutter of memorabilia and trivia and stuff. You could probably stay in there a very long time. But I just kind of poked around. And one of the things I saw, which you can see in my album, are little teeny milk bottles about that big. Well, when I was in culinary school, that's what we put the creamer in for the coffee. So when the tea, this was in a trade school, technical high school. So the students ate the mass food, the big amount of people food, like cafeteria food. We made that for them. And a lot of that, just so you know, was government surplus. I'll never forget that government surplus pork. We sure knew a lot of things to do with that. And then the teachers got the restaurant food. And it was hilarious because in those days, you could get like a seafood platter for about 45 cents. It was just hilarious. And sometimes they complained. We had a teacher, his name was Cool Carl. I forgot his last name right this second, but his name was Carl. And he, every day, he wanted a little pot, the pots with the hot water for the tea. He wanted that and the tea bag and hot water in his cup. So he got his money's worth out of that cup of tea. So anyway, when I told the man in the store about the little, those little things and that I had remembered them from school, he said, "Oh, I want you to take one." "Oh, well, isn't that sweet?" And he says, "Yeah, I think they're pretty valuable." And I said, "Well, thank you so much." And do you know he was charging $10 for it? No kidding. So, I don't want to collect tchotchkes, but that is really special. And of course, I went to my car and I got him a Spirited Stories Around the Campfire book. And he was tickled to have it, and I signed it to him. And so, this is that flowing give and take energy that is so wonderful. And okay, so then let's see, where did we go next? Oh, there was, I hate to say this, but by the time I got done with my messing around in Atlanta, Illinois, the arcade museum, only museum I wanted to see there, was closed. Missed it by 15 minutes, just like missing the post office the day before by 15 minutes. So I didn't get that, but I guess you just can't do everything. And then I went along my way, and I went to Lincoln. And in Lincoln, I saw a few different sites, Abraham Lincoln sites, of a courthouse where he did his work as an attorney. And I'm driving down a street, and lo and behold, I see a sign. It says Serenity Bubble Tea. I stopped. Huh, bubble tea. Now that's something worth spending your money on. And I hop out of the car, and I hop up there, and I look, and it's all dark inside, and it says close. Oh. So I turn around, and the lady comes, and she opens the door. She goes, were you looking for something? We're just closing up. And I said, "Well, I'm looking for bubble tea, if you could make me some." And she said, "Oh, I can't. Everything is clean up. I'm so sorry." Well, we started to talk a little bit. Found two of the nicest women. They're sisters who went to Lincoln, Illinois for no other reason but to start this bubble tea shop where they knew absolutely nobody. And it's bubble tea and gifts, and it's really cute. I didn't get in the door, but we talked. And then they took me. Now, here's the thing. I have seen a lot of these stops from my book and from the maps and everything. This there's also these stops that I saw that other people don't see, and that's really good if you make friends along the way. Well, they said, we want to take you on a walk with us. So come on. And we walked down the street and turned the corner, and they had to show me a telephone booth. Now, you would think, so what's a telephone booth? You know, who wants to see a telephone booth? And she said, look up at the top of that building. Well, somebody put an old telephone booth on the top of the building. Now, it was put there to commemorate what they called a weather watcher. A weather watcher would sit in a booth up there and watch for storms and stuff, and then they would call down and report to the people on the ground. Is that something else? And then so it was there, and then for a while they said, let's put a telephone booth up there, because I guess they have telephone booths to get rid of once, you know, cell phones are busy and everything. So they put the telephone booth up there, and after a number of years, it kind of got decrepit. So they said, okay, well, let's take it down. The townspeople had a hissy fit, and they fixed it up and put it back up there. There is power. We do have power as people. So remember that if something is important, stand up, speak out. I see you're here with me, Teresa Govert. So you know the importance of standing up, and I'm standing up with you. And so of course, I gave the girls a book to share. I can't get crazy here. And I went back on my journey, and I had to find, and this one was one I really, boy, my GPS and strangers on the street, we all worked on it. The largest covered wagon in the world, with Abe Lincoln sitting on the seat at the front of it, you know, with the big, getting ready to take it on the road. Well, I went in. The girls from the bubble tea shop showed me how to get there. That didn't work. Somebody else showed me how to get there. That didn't work. A lovely lady who was out sitting on the porch with her mother, with her two little dogs, she told me how to get there. I almost gave up on it because I drove and drove and drove and didn't see it, but I remembered the woman said it was by a hotel. And I went, oh, I'm going to go a little further, went over the thing, and I found the world's largest wagon wheel. Also found a great little place called the Mill, the old mill, and that's on the list. And I took a picture of it, and that has got a webpage I'll share with you one day, how we can all be a part of helping to restore it. I think that's where I ended that's where I ended my journey yesterday. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to be back, not with wine, but with coffee. And I will share my day today. And I got some really good things that happened. So, oh, and the man who with the purple Studebaker, his name was Alvin, just sharing that. And I continue to meet wonderful people, and I'll share some really good stuff tomorrow. So God bless you. Thanks for taking the journey with me, and have a wonderful night. And I'll see you for coffee in the morning. God bless.